All right, now let's take a look at an interesting problem here where we're still going to go straight to the question sentence. And it says, what percent correct is that? Okay, so we're dealing with a situation that we recognize. We're talking about a practice test. If you're watching this video, yeah, you might be preparing for a test yourself. So we recognize the situation and we want to know what percent correct is represented by this up here. Okay, sounds good. We want to know blank percent correct. That's what I want to know. So what I'm going to look at here is the main information saying a student answers 45 of 60 questions correctly on a practice test. Okay, so we got 45 out of 60 total questions. So it almost sounds like if we were to set this up like the percentage formula, it would be blank percent of the 60 original questions ends up being 45 questions correct. And remember, the percent that you apply is the result that you get. This is the right way to set it up because look at how we write it. We are looking for the percent that's correct, and we are putting the amount that's correct on the other side. The percent you apply is the result that you get. This is how we know this is the right setup and not the other way around. So now that we're here, I think this is pretty straightforward because you have this blank percent multiplied by 60 gives us 45. My party people, what's the only thing we have to do to get this correct? What do we have to do to both sides when we work backwards here? Yeah, divide. That's the straightforward answer there. We just have to divide and get rid of that 60. We got to get rid of it. So that's what I'll do. But there's one little thing that, if you're not used to doing this, there's one little thing that could trip you up at the end. But let's get to this first part first. We'll divide by 60 on the left and right sides, keeping that balance in the equation. Cancels out on the left side, 45 over 60 on the right. So now that we're here, all we got to do is do 60 going into 45. And so here we have 60 going into 4. It doesn't. We have 60 going into 45. It doesn't. So now that we're here, this might be a little confusing, right? This might be a little like, what? What's going on? Don't worry. We're going to place a decimal. We're going to put a 0, and we're going to continue. Everyone, how many times does 60 go into 450? 7 times. Let's write that out. 7 right there. Because 60 multiplied by 7 is 420. When we subtract, we have 30 left. We'll take one more 0 right there, drop it to get 300. Everyone, how many times does 60 go into 300? 5 times. That is correct. And so we'll write the 5 right here. And so we have 0.75 or 75 hundredths. That's going to be our answer. But that's going to be a little weird. It's going to be a little weird because when we take a look, we have 0.75 equals my percent. What? Does that really make sense? No, it doesn't. Because remember, everybody, what form is the percent in when it is in the equation? What form is the percent in inside of the equation? What form is that in? Yeah, it's a decimal. It's in decimal form when it's inside of the equation. So what we have to do at the very, very, very end here is we have to change the decimal back to a percent. And remember, going forward to a decimal, we move it to the left twice. To go backwards, to turn a decimal back to a percent, we move it to the right 2 times. So that's going to be 75%. So that was the one last thing that we needed to do before fully, saying that we're done. But there it is. The correct answer here is D, 75%. We just had to remember to turn that decimal back into a percent at the end, and we're good. All right, so next one. The question reads, What is the area of the pond? Remember, first thing you want to turn your attention to, hey, what's the question sentence? What are we being asked to find? And it says the area of the pond. Now, in this problem, we're dealing with a circular pond. So the first thing we want to think about is, hey, area, circle, what's that formula? And that formula you're going to write out is the area of a circle is pi multiplied by the radius squared, pi r squared. So what we know we need to solve this problem, because again, we're trying to get to the area. So the one thing I know I'm going to need to get this done is the radius. I need that. If I can get that, then I'm good. So let's read here. Let's see what we have. Don't assume it's the radius, but verify. And if not, then work towards it. So the pond is designed such that the distance from its center to any point along its edge is 18 meters. Okay, so what does that tell me? Man, when we think about the center to any point along its edge, that screams to me, that's radius. We are given the radius because, again, we're going from the center to any point on the edge. That's how I can verify that that's radius and not diameter. So now that I know that, cool. We're going to plug in that 18 and solve, and we're done. And one thing I'll take note of is when you look at your choices, all of them are in terms of pi. So I'm just going to leave pi as is. So here we are. Area equals pi multiplied by the radius, which is 18 squared. So what we really need to do, rather briefly, is multiply 18 by itself. Once we have 18 squared, then we're all good to go. 8 times 8, that's 64, carry the 6. 1 times 8 is 8, carry the 6 is 14. Then we'll move to the next line so we can process that 1. So up next, we're going to have 1 times 8, 1 times 1. Add this together, and we're going to have 4, 12, carry the 1, and then 3. No decimals, so no other work to be done. And so there it is. Our area is pi multiplied by 324, or 324 pi. Now, I know for a lot of us here at this point, the anxiety doesn't come from the numbers. I think we all know how to calculate. I think it's more so, hey, can I be certain, can I be sure that what I'm calculating is the right numbers to calculate? You know, and so you really want to think about that, everybody. It's all about that. So with that said, everybody, we are good on this one. Let's go ahead and try one more. All right, so this is our first multiple choice practice question of the day. Let's get it going here. We have 4x multiplied by this group of terms, this binomial here, multiplied by 2x plus 3y. So let's go ahead and handle this with grace like we always have been. Let me zoom on in a little bit. And here we go. So we'll have 4x multiplied by 2x. So I'll write that down as 4x times 2x. And then from there, we have 4x multiplied by the positive 3y. So right there, 4x multiplied by the positive 3y. So with that, here we go. We have 4 times 2. Remember, we are multiplying, so we are going to multiply those coefficients. 4 times 2, that's going to give us 8. And then from there, x times x is going to give us x squared. Again, x times x is the same as x's being multiplied together. That's what a square is. From there, we're taking a look at the 4x times 3y. We have 4 times 3, which is going to give us 12. And then from there, everybody, x times y, how is that going to be written? X multiplied by y is simply going to be written as, xy, and that's it. They are not the same variable, so we don't do anything with those exponents. We just have them written down side by side, and that is it. This makes the correct answer here, answer choice A. Booyah, my party people. Now let's go ahead and keep it moving here to the next practice problem.